guess what? It's video game talk. It's video game talk.
Can't do it. I wanted to belch ass. Hi, welcome to Video Game Talk, right here on the Video Game
Network.
Network.
A little goofy today because we just got filming a very it's a stupid sketch. You're gonna see it tomorrow.
We have a little bit of a case of the afternoon sillies.
The afternoon sillies.
But it's okay. We're coming to you live right here from VGN Studios, this lovely room right here.
In the space apartment. Which we have a timeshare with the complaint department.
Wow! I'm going crazy. It's fine. Hi, and welcome.
Oh, man.
We have a lot of things to talk about today.
We don't actually have as many things to talk about today, but we have some things
we'll talk about for a while.
You know what? We really just have like 3 topics we're going to hit, and we're going to be distracted a lot, I think, is how this night is going to go. So,
still cool.
Buckle up, folks. Here we go.
All I'm going to tell you is just sit tight. We're going to talk about some stuff, and then we'll be answering your questions live. If you're not watching this live, leave a comment in the comment section below. We will get back to you as soon as possible.
We get back to people. It's what we do.
Yeah, anyways,
it's like, you know.
Garrett, after like a whole freaking half a year of...
One sec. Stand up and show the internet the shirt I got you.
This is my editing shirt.
Yeah.
This week we'll be doing some editing.
It's very comfy. It's very soft.
It is. It's a very nice shirt. It's a very good shirt.
Yeah.
I'll be doing some editing later. Anyways.
Because we just filmed the sketch that is due tomorrow, and we have to finish that while the girls are watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Scott says, I know you got $10.
I know you got $10.
Yeah, so... Hi. I'm Rich Alvarez.
And I'm Garrett Allen.
And welcome.
Popular.
Welcome.
From the, from this shit.
Oh, there it was!
Yeah. All right. Well, now we can get started.
Cool. All right. So after a mediocre first half of the year of 7.0 this and 7.5 that,
lot of sevens and belows.
The disappointment that was Sea of Thieves, the disappointment that was anything that wasn't freaking Fortnite or PUBG.
I'm back and forth on Sea of Thieves. Was I too hard on Sea of Thieves?
No, you were not too hard on Sea
of
Thieves. Everybody's disappointed.
Chat, was I too hard on Sea of Thieves? Or is this entirely justified and I need to stay the course and not be easy on a title just because it's AAA?
We'll get to Sea of Thieves a little bit later, but first let's dive into...
That bothers me. I have thought about that. I have thought about
It's the first 10 out of 10 in a long time, the new God of War, which for some reason they've decided not to call God of War 4, but do not be misled, children. Even though it's called God of War, it's just called God of War. This is not a remake of the original game. This is not a reboot of the series. This is the 4th game for all intents and purposes. It takes place after the 3rd game. Kratos has his kid. Why they didn't call it God of War 4, I don't know. It's probably their whole we need to reach a new audience thing.
Is it a canonical?
Yeah.
Continuation?
It is a canonical continuation.
It's like just picking up where 3 left off?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's things that are Kratos, I've come back, I guess they've done it well enough where you don't have to have... You might be a little confused on some of the Easter eggs, but I think that they've made it so that if you never played the first 3, you're not going to be, totally boned,
Have you noticed that franchises in general, a lot of them seem lenient to try to go to a 4? Doom did this. Mm-hmm. And several other franchises have as well, where it's almost like, we can't do a 4.
We can't count to 4.
That's too high. Or
Hell,
somehow we're going to... and I get it, because it's then you're alienating the potentially new player base a little bit, because people look at a 4 and they're like,
That's too much.
I can't play a 4. Do I need to play 1, 2, 3?
Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, right, what? Do I need to play Final Fantasy 14 through 1? Which is
yes,
yeah.
but no. Yeah, anyways.
No, in fact, don't. In some cases, they're pretty bad.
Yeah, Sony could not count to 4. Valve can't even count to 3. But here we are. So, 10 out of 10 for God of War. Very exciting because I do love the God of War franchise, and I'm excited to play this knowing that people love the shit out of it.
Apparently, it's really good.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's really good. I'm a little bummed out it's a PlayStation exclusive, but that's been par for the course.
It's
on God
Sony
of War
games.
Yeah, so whatever, that's fine. When I see something big like this, I want it to hit a larger audience. I want to see what else is out there.
And guess what, guys? A single-player game that is finished and feels polished and good,
right?
and complete. What do you know? Somebody knows how to do it still.
I don't have a PlayStation, obviously, but you know,
I do.
We went into some significant reading on this to try to get kind of like to figure out like, oh my god, like obviously people really love this game. Like, what are people really enjoying about it? And it sounds like, believe it or not, major attention to the storyline.
Wow!
And actually, really concise dedication to fleshing out Kratos as a character.
What? Story character development?
Yeah.
What is this nonsense?
It has really produced some amazing dividends.
Whoa!
Apparently you have a game, and I'm not going to like, you know, jump into like the spoiler side of anything, but like apparently you have a game where you have, obviously you view Kratos, everything through the eyes of Kratos, more or less, you know, or you're through the third person of Kratos, I guess. It's, as you saw in the trailers, it focuses on him and his son a whole lot, and bounces back and forth between like who he is as a warrior, how he's trying to figure out to be a father, and apparently this whole mishmash between like walking between the emotional vulnerability of like fatherhood, between like the absolute gut-wrenching total smash fest that is Kratos, then maybe apparently produces an amazing journey.
So are you telling me, Garrett, that Sony didn't come into the studio, the Sony executives, they didn't come into the studio on day 11, the 11th hour, the last day. You know what I freaking mean. They didn't go in and they were like, oh, we gotta save these features for DLC. Oh, sorry, this whole last mission, now I gotta scoop that out for you. That didn't happen!
It turns out it didn't.
Holy
shit.
It
turns out it's great as a result.
You heard it here first, motherfuckers. Sony gives a shit.
Yeah.
Sorry for cursing, not sorry.
Right. Hockey Song saying basically Sony cares more about their games than their movies, while Disney cared more about money than caring about saving a franchise. Hockey Song wants to pick a fight about Star Wars again.
We did that last night. It's fine.
This is another show. Yeah, honestly, it's interesting, and it's almost like, you know, despite the fact that there's one banner, there's a hugely different group of people behind both elements of Sony's franchisement. You know, it's almost like a completely different people are running the movie division, which are, I think, a traditionally more movie mogul type, you know, kind of council of individuals. And then on the gaming side, you have, I mean, several teams even in amongst the gaming side. But, you know, the group behind God of War, in this case, has obviously assembled a very competent team and is really driven it home.
Because let's not forget, Sony Pictures, the movie studio, is in Culver City near LA. Sony Computer Entertainment is in Japan. Completely different teams, completely different people, completely different culture.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's good. I mean, like, you know, can we hold a brand, you know, singularly accountable for kind of where it's at? And sure, to an extent, but we do have to remember that, like, it's a wildly different group of individuals. Literally different ethnicities, ages, socioeconomic levels. Everything about them is fundamentally different than the team handling the movies. But I think credit where credit is due. The team nailed it. It seems to be amazing. Everything that I've seen about it sings high praise and says that it really, you know, anchors the God of War formula in amazing action. I've seen just videos online and on Reddit's just full of like all the cool new finisher moves, including like the cross-dimensional ones you get through the game where you like warp time and stuff.
Oh yeah, I really hope this is not just a win for God of War, guys. I really hope that this game ends up selling like a crap ton. I mean, like, I would love for it to sell GTA 5 levels of games, because I really would love to see.
Most likely because of the brand,
maybe, but
you know, maybe
it would be awesome if it could become the gold standard again, if you will, for games to be single player campaigns. Right. And, you know, of course, I love multiplayer games too and online games, but it would be nice for, you know, studios like EA to not be afraid to produce a single-player game, and just a single-player game, without all the bells and whistles and loot boxes of a multiplayer.
Right.
It would be nice.
We're not, you know, the age of Uncharted is, you know, kind of dimming. You know, I gotta say, Uncharted has obviously been really good and all this sort of thing, but I think Uncharted as a franchise has sort of run its course for the moment, and we'll see kind of how that goes. It's really cool to see God of War step in right where I think, you know, kind of like the console platformer, the action console platformer left off.
Yeah, Hockey Song points out that GTA 5 made over $6 billion, which is like 3 times more than the highest grossing movie of all time, James Cameron's Avatar. Avatar. So yeah, and GTA 5 would make an awesome movie, first of all, but yeah, dude, that's some crazy numbers, dude. Crazy numbers.
It is, yeah. GTA, but yeah, and remember also, you know, movies don't have in-game currency purchases.
You're right, but I think even as a single-player game before they released GTA Online a few months later, it had already broken records before that.
Sure. It was still a record-breaking game. I just mean that I think the insanity of that figure is really due to a lot of the DLC stuff. It's also why I need Red Dead to be good. They have no extents.
I'm a little red. I think it's because we were running around being idiots earlier.
Oh, were we running around being idiots earlier? It might just be the lighting in my camera, but you know what? Now
no, you're way more. I'm way more redder than you.
I'm actually looking at you right now. You are a bit pink.
You also get more regular exercise than I do.
Oh, okay.
Let's not forget that Garrett is in better shape.
Yeah, that's true, but I worked pretty hard at it, so that's that was gross. Yes, DeKalen, we meet James Capitar's Dances with Wolves in Space. Or Pocahontas in Space. Or whatever.
But, okay, so Avatar is kind of a Pocahontas Dances with Wolves kind of mishmash ripoff, right? Ferngully. But
we've seen the trope before.
Dances with Wolves is a fantastic film, though.
It really
just
is.
So you know.
It really is.
Love it.
Thank you for joining us on Game Network.
And then Garrett has something to say about Heroes of the Dorm.
Heroes of the Dorm!
Tell us all about it.
For those of you guys who don't frequent Twitch or don't consider yourselves big Heroes of the Storm fans, I'm here to pitch to you the idea of like, hey, if you haven't gone and checked out Heroes of the Dorm, this is also kind of softcore pitch for the After Hours Gaming League, but they're not really doing anything quite as interesting right now. So basically, Heroes of the Dorm, as it sounds, is a collegiate tournament where different colleges put forth a basically produce a professional esports team, and they compete internationally against other colleges. Today, in fact, I think right now we have UC Berkeley out of California versus Carleton University, which I believe is out of Canada, going head to head for I think it's bracket B. In theirs right now, they're nearing the finals. I think we're down to only like 8 teams in each bracket at this point. We started off with I think 64, so we're getting down to it. It's a very, very exciting piece of esports, and it's super, super cool. And I love kind of the almost college football feel of it. I've never really been a big college football fan. I've never really been a big sports fan in general, but I love that we're capturing so much of the especially collegiate level of enthusiasm that comes from a lot of college sports, and we're taking it into a Blizzard game, Heroes of the Storm, which I believe is a phenomenal MOBA. And
Blizzard, home of the original esport.
More or less. Technically, Dota was a Warcraft 3 mod, and I think a lot of it started there.
Fuck that. Brood War.
I know. I think of Brood War as certainly a thing, but you got to give Dota back in its day was a legend. That's all good. Anyway, go check out round 16 of Heroes of the Dorm. Streaming now and for many more in the future. They show no signs of slowing down. It's a very, very cool thing if you're into Twitch esports. So that's all good.
And now we're going to teach you a very important lesson in marketing saturation. What happens when you have a really good thing and then somebody copies it and makes Pepsi, Coke being the original, and then all of a sudden you have Shasta, RC, and all this other fucking cola brands. What happens? Well, actually nothing happens to Coca-Cola. It's still the #1 brand in the world, but something happened similarly to PUBG. PUBG kind of started this whole revolution of Battle Royale style fights against 100+ people. Fortnite expanded their game to include such a feature, and now, Garrett, tell us all about Radical Heights.
Radical Heights. Well, I don't want to, so I'm going to be pretty critical of this game. I'll just say that right out the gate. But I feel like it's really, really, really fair that I specify that this is an early access game. It is early access, and I am not typically somebody who likes to be really, really, like, openly against early access games. Like, I hate to be like, the game's buggy, and I am, okay, I'll just say it. Radical Heights is buggy, okay? But it's also in early access. I have some wishy-washy feelings about the practice of doing things early access and kind of like the kinds of games it produces and whatnot, but it's not a purely negative thing either. Some of the greatest games I've ever played have come out of early access, but I've also seen unfinished disaster pieces and really transparent money grabs as well. It is what it is. This isn't designed to be a conversation about early access, but Radical Heights is in early access, so tailor your expectations accordingly.
I would say that it probably doesn't reach Radical Heights.
Get out here. Get out of here. Okay. So, Radical Heights, for those of you unfamiliar with the game, is a very new, it's a very slapstick, almost kind of like Agents of Mayhem or, oh God, what's the game with the Saints? What's the game with the Saints? Saints Row.
Yes,
Thank you. Very much like a later Saints Row titles, like very slapstick, very cartoony. Radical Heights is sort of a PUBG-ish sort of entry into that new market. It's a basically it's a survival shooter, you know, much in the style. It's very similar to the like a more smaller kind of self-contained version of what PUBG is. It's this survival style open deathmatch sort of thing and whatnot, and it's very whimsical, and the whole thing is game show themed and whatnot.
Fun, yeah.
Like it's set in this big dome and whatnot. It's just like, come kill for money. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
for them to try to make it a little bit more unique there.
Right, exactly. In fact, I think stylistically, I'd like to give the game a lot of props. I think it succeeds in standing out, at least within the subgenre that it exists in. If you want to compare it to some other games that are out there, I think obviously it rings very similar to a lot of the other games that I just mentioned. Saints Row was the one I mentioned. What was the other one that I was just talking about? Agents of Mayhem. Thank you. Anyway, so it rings out as very, very similar to those styles. In fact, I wonder if there's very similar teams involved. I didn't research that. In fact, in retrospect, maybe I should have. But anyway, if you want to know about the game, it's a hot, disastrous mess.
And what is happening to PUBG right now?
Well, PUBG is falling in popularity pretty hard. It's interesting, though, because when I reviewed Twitch just moments ago to kind of check where the viewership levels are at, Radical Heights is getting pretty close to PUBG. PUBG right now has 50,000 concurrent viewers, which is obviously nothing to turn your nose up at. That's still pretty good, but it puts it in, you know, a firm 5th to 6th place as far as the most viewed game on Twitch, well behind its, you know, initial place where it was, you know, sitting at closer to 250,000. Fortnite, however, is holding on to that #1 spot.
That's nuts. I mean, like, you know, for me, if I'm going to go back and play something like that, I'm going to play PUBG. I have not played it regularly in a long time, but that's not because I don't like PUBG. It's just because, you know, I've played a lot of PUBG, and
right.
I've had my fill for now. So I could see why it might be falling popularity. There isn't a whole lot of reward out of playing PUBG other than just having a lot of good fun. It was like, I'm not really earning anything, so...
Multiplayer games are fun. Playing with your friends are fun, if you happen to have fun friends.
Right.
But does just having a good group of friends that you can mess around in a video game with, does that really make a game good? It does not.
No, because we move on to other things.
It can breed a good experience. Like, for instance, the other day, I jumped on with my good friend Brandon, and we played Rust. Rust is a toxic cesspool. If you're unfamiliar with Rust, it's by the creator of the original Gary's mod. It is a survival game bar none. It is an extremely regimented survival game with griefing and raiding and player versus player destruction at like its core tenet. It's just an unbridled Wild West of a game. And it has probably one of the single most destructive and relentlessly cruel player bases that I have seen in video games. It's almost like a game about ruining other people's day. It attracts people who are like, yeah, that. let's do that.
Right. But your point is, you can't always rely on just like a friends group mentality,
right.
because we're gonna get bored.
Because I had fun playing Rust the other day. I had
Yeah.
a ton of fun playing Rust. But does that mean like Rust is a really good game with a lot to offer, or you will have fun playing Rust if you pick it up right now? It does not. So therefore, we come back to Radical Heights. A lot of people are having a good time in Radical Heights right now. A lot of streamers are having a good time in Radical Heights right now. And it's kind of going to be one of those time will tell sort of things to see is like, are people just having fun with their friends in a whimsical environment?
Whimsical!
Or is this game actually going to butt into something interesting? It's loaded with microtransactions. It is. It's just loaded with a lot of like microtransaction kind of stuff.
Let me tell
you know, so is Fortnite, so is a lot of this other stuff, and you know, it's just out there. I should also mention that it's free. It is a free-to-play game. You can buy a Founders Pack that, you know, gets you some initial, you know, loot and whatnot. But this is a game that is pretty shamelessly gonna try to capitalize on Fortnite's business model.
I can forgive microtransactions to a certain degree if the game is free, because that's how they'll make their money. I don't know how I still, after 2 years or whatever, I still don't know how I feel about fucking Overwatch, $60, and then microtransactions.
I've decided I'm okay with it because they're cosmetic only.
Yeah, it's true.
I think, in my mind, this is like my...
But I gotta have all the skins.
Yeah, I know, but that's you at that point. That's on you. I can pay $60 and I can get the entire Overwatch experience, plus free updates, plus new content, plus all the seasonal stuff, all the time, $60 flat out.
But they made the characters so fun and colorful. I just have to have all the costumes.
Right, I know. And they do give you a lot of opportunities to get loot crates.
They put a secret chemical that makes you addicted to it, just like Colonel's chicken at KFC. Hi, I'm a normal person.
So I've decided in my own book that if you're going to charge full price for a game and you want to have cosmetic only,
that's fine.
Then in my mind you have committed no significant, like, egregious transgression against mankind, and I'm going to give your game a fair shot. If you are going to charge for content-based DLCs, outside of like major expansion packs, like really big expansion pack, you know, sort of like, or, you know, like big bite-sized, you know, sort of editions or whatnot, then at that point your game better be cheap or free.
Yeah.
So that's
but
whole
here's
sort of
the interesting thing. I thought that no matter what replicas and copies came along, I always thought that at the end of the day, the team behind PUBG was going to constantly improve their shit, and they were always going to be the last name in giant multiplayer battle royale shooters. It appears like that may not be the case anymore, with Fortnite kind of taking over and new stuff coming all the time that people are enjoying. I actually legitimately feel bad for the PUBG team, because I feel like they spent so much time trying to, like, you know, get it on Xbox and get it on mobile, and they made one new map that it's like...
They did overstretch a bit. And it's also worth mentioning that PUBG was an experiment. It was very much transparently an experiment, and I don't think anybody was prepared for how big it got. It was very, very derivative of DayZ. In fact, Player Unknown was, you know, a major part of DayZ. He was a major part of DayZ. So taking what he had learned from DayZ, he really he picked that up and moved it over to PUBG. PUBG's done really well in terms of its ability to cross-platform and whatnot, but the team is very small, and I want to say I have, you know, we have to hold them accountable for failing to address certain technical issues, the cheating, the just the technical problems in general, like the aim boxing or the hit boxing. You know, things like optimization for graphics cards that should be able to handle it.
Oh yeah, it's hella slow and glitchy.
Yeah, so that all kind of stuff.
And
That's,
really,
we would expect that in a 1.0
How many
release.
chicken dinners can you have before you desireth beef, or maybe you go vegetarian? Really?
Right. I mean, and that's kind of the thing and whatnot. You know, I'm not even, you know, really trying to formulate or guide an opinion on PUBG per se. But there is no denying that we are living in an era that bears its mark very heavily.
Yes.
Very heavily does this mark exist upon thine world. Upon thine world. So, here we are again. Radical Heights. Another entry. But, I mean, we've been talking a lot about PUBG, but it's really fair to say that Radical Heights is more of, if we have to accuse it of being a direct lift for something, that's gonna be Fortnite, not PUBG. But if I played the original Fortnite, and it was nothing like PUBG. Fortnite adapted to become more like PUBG. And in retrospect, you know, this whole encounter even began. So I want to point it back to PUBG, even though I feel like Radical Heights is really trying to be Fortnite. So,
yeah.
Whatever. Fortnite is good. It is good. I won't say that it's exceptional. It's still kind of convoluted in my mind, but like I for those of you who know, I run a karate team, full a lot of kids. And they play the heck out of Fortnite. Even some of them that aren't traditionally really gamers. Some of them win.
It's become kind of a fad, you know. So like all the kids are doing it.
Yeah,
you
like,
gotta do it.
The girls will play Fortnite and whatnot. And, you know, that's not that there's not the largest portion of girls playing video games these days, but the girls in my karate team are not necessarily like gamer girls or people who traditionally love video games, but they'll sit down and play Fortnite. So that's great. That's super good accessibility and whatnot, and really speaks to the variability of it all. That being said, you know, we are very much in an era where we're dominated by these sorts of games and whatnot. That's all I wanted to say on Radical Heights. Check it out at the very least. Like, get your eyeballs on it, because it might be one of those things that we're all drowning in soon if they can, like, figure it out.
You guys like how I fixed my hair right here on live stream?
Yeah, that was pretty good. I did notice in perusing through the game's content that you can buy $100 worth of in-game currency.
Ooh.
But there's no female models yet. They have yet to program in that whole half of the player model base.
That's...
Again, it's an early access game. I'm just also saying that, like, you could also drop $100 if you want.
You're gonna... Okay, you can't make a female character?
No.
That's going to be like, okay, forget...
You will be able to.
But it's
like... But they haven't programmed it in yet.
It's so funny, because right now I'm just thinking, okay, you're not going to get any females playing your game, and probably half the males, too. They're like, I don't want to stare at a male butt all day.
I know, right?
Because that's like, half the games I play, like, a lot of the times I play, like, Fallout or anything where I'm looking at someone's ass during the game, I'm going to make a female character because it's just aesthetically better.
See, for me, I am way too much about immersion. I am, like, way too much about, like, I need to experience this world through the eyes of this character. So if I have the opportunity to create a character that is similar to me in just proportion and build and height and general appearance and whatnot, I will do it. Not necessarily because I'm a narcissist, but because that, like, really allows me to be like, no, I'm in it. I'm in the world.
I'll be a little bit more of a narcissist. You just can't recreate Rich Alvarez in a video game. You just can't.
I tried super hard to recreate Rich Alvarez in Fallout. In fact, almost to the point where I considered making it a contest on our Discord. Like, I actually considered being like, hey guys, I have been trying in Fallout 4 to create a Rich Alvarez avatar. They never quite turn out right. Let's see what you do. Here's some general prize.
General prize!
Yeah. So, I've considered that. And if anybody here wants to submit a Rich Alvarez Fallout 4 Discord, or Fallout 4 avatar on the Discord, and maybe you can succeed where I failed, then I invite you to do so, because right now I'm stumped. I tried to play Rich. I tried to play Rich on stream.
You know,
so I could just be like, oh, I'm Richard, and I'm perusing the waste. I thought that'd be really funny, but I could never get it close enough to make the joke. Anyway, you were saying?
No, that was good. Sorry, no, I was just going to say, Hockey Song says at some point the Battle Royale trend will die off soon.
Correct. It will.
Give it a year or two.
Not, like, tomorrow, though. My question to you guys, and really my question to Rich, is like, what do you think the next big trend is going to be?
Well, Garrett, that's hard to say, because
Isn't Richard?
I want to take my face off. Anyways, no, but the thing is, it's hey, if I could predict trends, let me tell you, oh man, we would be on top of things over here. I will say, yeah.
Well, this is how you predict trends. You make wild guesses with the internet as your audience,
and you go, I think we're gonna see the return of the RPG. At least that's what I hope to see. Skyrim really, like, you know, after Skyrim, you know, we saw, actually, I'm trying to remember.
Just before Skyrim, we kind of were living in the Minecraft era.
Yeah.
Like, you know, kind of thing.
But around the time that Skyrim came out, that's when we got, like, Dragon... Oh, what's it called?
Are you thinking of Dragon's Age?
Dragon's Age, thank you. We got Dragon's Age.
I'm really hoping for another Dragon's Age.
Fallout New Vegas came out just the year before that, and it seemed like we had kind of a huge, you know, wave of RPGs come out, and then we haven't had a good one in a while. Oh, Fallout 4 is good, but you know, I think pretty much what I'm saying is when Elder Scrolls 6 finally decides to come out, there's going to be a whole bunch of other companies competing with new RPGs, and I think it's going to be good because I'm going to play them all. I don't know if I can say that's going to be the next trend. Guys, that's kind of impossible to predict. A brand new genre we've never heard of could come out.
Yeah. Maybe VR will finally make it big. Maybe someone will finally like put out like here's a VR set that costs $100.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. $50-$100 a VR set. Then maybe.
And then all of a sudden it blows up like Wii does, and then it does that. Hockey Song's guessing that MMORPGs might be poised to make a return.
Nah.
I think the MMORPG will blow up again, but I don't think it's going to be now. I think we're still a couple of years out from the big MMORPG. But this is the thing. It only takes one really, 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 really big breakthrough game in order to like really crack the code on this. As we saw with PUBG, as we saw with World of Warcraft back in the day, as we saw with EVE Online back in the day, as we saw with Minecraft, as we've seen with all these like really big ball buster games, they come onto the scene and then like boom, the space is set for the next like year or so. So, you know, it just is what it is.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that PUBG would have the impact that it's continuing to have.
No. World of Warcraft, I think people saw the writing on the wall. They were like, this game is going to be insane. It had everything going for it. It had the compounding success of the Warcraft franchise. It had a budgeting market for like paid subscription MMOs. It was in the right place at the right time, and everybody fell in love.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's well and good.
Yeah, beyond PUBG and the Battle Royale style, I mean, it's hard to say. Yeah, we could throw out things like VR and, you know, the return of an existing genre. But it's like until, I think maybe next year when the Battle Royale really starts to die down and we kind of see, you know, we got to see something
I'm with Hockey Song. I'm very consistent on the idea that by the end of 2019, I think we'll be pretty close to done with this Battle
absolutely
Royale thing.
done.
I don't know that we'll be done with survival style stuff in general.
No, of course not. Survival has always been a base genre for games.
Yeah, not only that, but I feel like, I don't want to get, like, political here or anything, but I feel like, you know, kind of when you see things get kind of uncertain and a little more volatile in the socioeconomic climate and stuff like this, games and art in general, be it movies, be it anything like this, really turn to reflect this. We saw this with, you know, like 1999, you know, the turn of the century, Y2K or whatnot, a lot of, you know, sort of, you know, kind of end of the world stuff, you know, popped out, or a lot of, like, New World Order things. Then when 2012 came, you know, 2012, everything was about the end of the world and stuff like this. And
I mean, that's actually, I mean, I love the late 90s, 1996 to 2000, not just for what Garrett said, but also the music and the culture. And yeah, a lot of, at that time, it was the paranoia of what's going to happen at the end of the millennium. The Matrix came out in 1998, and that was like all about robots taking over, you know? Like,
99, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, point stands. Yeah, it really reflects this thing. I think survival games are going to be a big thing as long as, you know, this sort of running joke in America that, like, haha, the bombs are going to fall any day now, ha ha ha, this, like, really dark humor thing that we're in right now. I think that's a lot more of a permanent generational thing, and I think survival as a genre will continue to persist for quite some time.
Who knows?
As a result.
Call of Duty could become huge again, you know, because of the state the world is in.
Right.
Who knows?
Call of Duty's really going to have to reassess its business model and whatnot. But, yeah. You know, that whole sort of thing. In fact, it's wild to me that they didn't make a post-apocalypse Call of Duty. Isn't Call of Duty, like, all about cash grabs and, like, about just, like, pandering to, like, what's cool?
I mean, yeah, but...
But, like, they never did that. They never did... Well, I guess they had the zombie modes, so I stand corrected. Anyway, Gravedigger's saying he thinks everyone's going to drop video games and go play Magic or something. Well, people are not going to drop video games, I tell you what.
We kind of dropped video games and played Magic.
We did. I mean, we play a bit of... I mean, I also play a lot of video games, too. Although I haven't this last week. It's been kind of weird. I'm feeling kind of saturated there. I'm waiting for BattleTech to come out later this month. I'll have a lot to say about that when it comes out. Holy shit. Very excited. Check out BattleTech if you haven't yet. So, anyway, the Gravedigger points out that, like, everyone's just going to drop video games and play Magic or something, and he's either being facetious or I just disagree. But he does touch on a very good point. Games
You'll
like
have to
Magic...
excuse Garrett, he's getting over a cold.
I did not get over the cold. I got over the monster flu.
He got over monster flu.
I got over the worst flu I've had in, like, a decade.
Monster
Thank you.
Monster.
But, anyway... The more people than ever are also playing Magic the Gathering right now. More people than ever are also playing Pathfinder. More people than ever are also playing Dungeons and Dragons. More people than ever are also playing board games.
Because
like
being a nerd is cool.
Yeah.
And liking sports will be one day considered being a nerd.
Well, it's already a pretty nerdy thing. I mean, have you ever seen or participated in like a fantasy league thing?
Oh yeah, those are pretty nerdy.
I mean, have you ever seen like a bunch of jocks like just sit there and just prattle about stats, and me being a D&D nerd just hanging back and being like, you don't know, but I know. I know what you sound like right now.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're at 40 minutes, which means we will now take your questions, which we kind of
we're
already
gonna call it a
been
little
taking
early
anyway.
today. We have an interview to do with another YouTube channel after
Yes,
this.
that is absolutely true.
So
we're going to go on for about 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. I want to get your questions.
Scott asks, Rich Garrett, he says we should totally make a University of Gaming.
You're gonna have to explain what that means.
What are you talking about?
What is a University of Gaming? What would it include? Would we be educating people on these things? I think there might already be a service called University of Gaming.
See, Hockey Song says that Call of Duty stopped caring about their stories back in 2013. Although I did think that
you do have to hold the Black Ops and the Activision tangents on. You kind of have to hold them to a different standard.
I like Black Ops. I like
Black Ops too. I think Black Ops I think Black Ops is not slowed down. I mean, Black Ops 2 was a little Black Ops 2 was a little it was a little uninspired at parts, I guess, but
the first Black Ops was amazing.
Black Ops was good. Black Ops 2 was Black Ops 3 is probably going to be pretty strong. The Activision side of Call of Duty is a little all over the place. It's, you know, we saw Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, you know, not pulling punches and having some real riveting storylines, and then things got kind of odd, even though the settings got really cool. I don't know.
Right.
Teach new generations video game, card games, and figure games, and board games. That's the thing. I think it's happening. I think these things are cross-pollinating, like, just fine. I know you, in particular, like a really distinctly old generation of games. And, I know that you know, like the old school Castlevanias and stuff like that, and I know that you want to see those persevere and whatnot, but I feel like video games as a franchise are healthier than ever. I feel like indie games in general are healthier than ever. I feel like Magic the Gathering is objectively commercially healthier than ever. I feel like D&D is commercially healthier than ever. A lot of these things don't need help. So
yeah, I mean, I've always been an avid game board lover and video game lover and everything else. I'm just all about all of it. So Hockey Song is bringing up a question that's going to get us in a whole new can of worms.
Yeah.
Here.
Do they make a God of War film?
Yeah. Should they make a God of War film? So
here's my short answer. No.
Yes. No. Because it's who. First of all, let's clarify this. Who's they in this question? Because if they is
this is going to be important to Richard. This is going to be important to Richie here.
If they is the same people that have been making the video game movies that we have now, then no. Should they have made an Assassin's Creed movie?
What up, Archie?
Yeah, Assassin's Creed would have made a dope movie. Did it make a dope movie? No. Has Tomb Raider ever made a dope movie? No.
I did kind of like that first one. I thought it had pizzazz.
My point is they've never made a great video game movie. Hey, we haven't seen Rampage yet. But as far as we know, they haven't made a great video game movie. What do I think that God of War could make an awesome movie? Absolutely.
Hockey's on pointing out Sony owns the franchise, so it would have to be them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
If it was directed by somebody who gave a shit. Unfortunately, director like notable directors like, you know, the old timies like, Francis Ford, Coppola, and Steven Spielberg. Those guys are way not going to do anything but their own projects these days.
Right.
And even the slightly younger ones like Peter Jackson and Guillermo del Toro, they're doing their own projects now. And the only thing that Peter Jackson ever gave a shit about was the Lord of the Rings. He didn't even give a shit about The Hobbit, apparently.
Well, he gave a shit, but he gave a
not a
very,
half
very
shit. Kind of like a little
specific, like,
he kind of farted it out a little bit. It wasn't a complete shit. All right.
Yeah.
But
that was a job to him, not a passion project.
If you're, like the really talented young people coming into the industry, like your Colin Trevorrows, and your Josh Tranks, hey, he's still a good director. Whatever you think about that Fantastic Four movie was not his fault. Like there's some really talented young directors that would be great, but they're giving video game movies to people that you've never heard of because they're like,
frame. What are you doing?
Oh, because they're like, oh, it's a video game. It's an existing IP that will sell. We don't need it to be good. We just need it to be okay. I feel like I can't help but feel like that's the executive mentality because they're watching dailies over there of Tomb Raider and Assassin's Creed and Warcraft, and they're like, yeah, that'll sell. Nobody's questioning whether it has good character development or whether the pacing's good. Nobody's being an actual producer over there. So yes, to answer your question, they should not make a movie.
Also, I'm going to take a totally different approach to that question.
Oh, you go ahead.
And that is just the idea of like I'm like as I grow older and like when I was younger, I was all about like, yes, I want to see all my video games that I love so much immortalized on silver screen. I want to see movies about my favorite games. As I get older, I'm kind of like, I'm okay with video games being video games and movies being movies.
Yeah.
I am. What was this move? I don't know what this move was. Can you tell I just got out of sketch mode? Anyway.
It's just the continuing disappointment.
Yeah, but I feel God of War succeeds in its storytelling so magnificently as a game. This latest game is just the indication of this. Also, its storytelling style is incredibly cinematic. To take a game that isn't traditionally cinematic, like for instance, let's look at like StarCraft, for instance. StarCraft, when you're playing the game, you're playing a top-down strategy that is very disconnected from the boots-on-the-ground perspective. Blizzard utilizes a world-class cinematics team in order to bring you down to their level, but disregarding those cinematics, the game is very disconnected. Command & Conquer was this way. That's why they used live-action, cinematics, which were dope for what they were back in the day. So that's a game where I would be like, okay, I'd be more interested in seeing a movie of that because like I'm obviously hugely riveted by this universe, but I want to understand what's going on more in the nitty-gritty level here. A game like God of War, I'm seeing the world through that character's eyes. I'm very much at the boots on ground level. I'm experiencing it. It's giving me all the storytelling and more that would occur in a movie. So I would say I'm very selective about the kinds of games I want to see come to film and what kind of games I think could offer coming to film. I'm okay with stuff like Assassin's Creed where it's like there's a whole rich tapestry of a universe here and we can focus on a portion of the storyline that isn't even featured in a game. I'm good with, like movies set in video game universes too, but I'm tired of this like let's just retell what happened in a video game with a movie. That needs to stop. It's not getting anywhere. Also, I'm convinced a game can tell a story better. There's just more time, and the fact that you're in control, like that's objectively a cinematic like launching point.
That was one of about a year or so ago. Game Theory, Matt Patton made a video all about this very subject where he said a video game movie is never going to be as good as a video game because you're losing the core element, which is your immersion in that game. You're losing that, which is like the whole thing.
You existing as a force within this universe.
Right, but
that's a hard thing to relinquish.
And a lot of people are like, oh, but there's such good stories. But it's like they never make the video games that would make the good movies. Metal Gear Solid, I've always said, would make a perfect movie because it's pretty much a movie already.
Right, Metal Gear is cool because there's so much going on in that universe we could focus on.
Right,
you know.
But then Hideo's just like, nah. Of course, he doesn't own it anymore. It's all Konami.
Right.
But they just want to make Pachinko machines.
Another classic example, like if they never made a Metal Gear movie, I'm kind of like, so what? They didn't. We got the Metal Gear movie. Guess what? It was all the Metal Gear games.
No, I totally sympathize with what you were saying before, because when I was a little kid, I was like, yeah, I hope they make a movie. I hope they made a movie. And then I saw the Final Fantasy movie, like, that's not Final Fantasy. And then I saw the Resident Evil movie, I was like, that's not Resident Evil.
Oh, I get how this is going to be. Oh, I get how this is going to be. None of this. No more of this. Yeah. I take it back.
And yeah, as I get older, I'm like, no, I had my fun and my good experience playing that as a game. I'm not going to get any further fulfillment from a movie version of this.
No.
I'm completely satisfied with just the game, and it should just exist as a game. It's like, it used to be, because back in the day when video games were nerdy, it's like, oh, I needed to be a movie to validate my obsession. It's like, I want my parents to experience what they will never experience, but now I just don't give a shit. I'm like, yeah,
now it's like,
whatever, fuck them.
Now,
sorry, mom and dad. Even though
if you want someone to experience a thing, guess what? They probably play video games because almost everybody does, or is at least familiar with them in some proximate context.
Right. What a good question, Hockey Song. What a good question.
Well, I'm gonna back up a little bit. Professor
Whisker.
Why are you so wild? Okay. Hockey Song says, I heard they're making a StarCraft film. They have been making a StarCraft film since Brood War came out.
Yeah, that's not happening.
I mean, it might at some point, but just the idea that, like, it's in talks.
Warcraft didn't do well enough for Blizzard to attempt another one.
It did well internationally, but I just don't think it got the reception that they wanted. So they would need to attempt it again on a completely fresh basis.
It did well enough internationally for them to maybe do a second Warcraft film, not StarCraft.
Fair point. We'll have to see, but yeah, just the idea that Warcraft is a little, put a little bit of I think a weird taste in their mouth about it, and then second of all, StarCraft has been in talks forever. So
hey, Hockey Song, EA buying Konami wouldn't be such a bad thing because then Konami would actually make games again, and not like really badly hashed out shit like Metal Gear Survive. Okay, let's face it, with EA it'll get hashed out. But it'll probably be better than Metal Gear Survive.
I actually think at this point, EA buying Konami would be a net improvement of the product. I don't feel good saying that, but I think it's the truth.
We might actually see a new Castlevania game.
Yeah, right? Oh, man, Scott would not love EA Games Presents Castlevania.
But at least it would happen.
But it would have a monstrous budget. And you never know. Sometimes they outsource it. They get it every once in a while. EA Games gets lucky. They get lucky.
Yeah,
because they outsource it to the right compartment, or some company takes over that's like a third party steps in and does it right on their behalf, kind of thing.
Yeah, if they can give it to a developer, okay, guys, DICE is still a good developer. If they give it to a good developer and don't rape it to death with microtransactions, then yeah, it might be a good game.
Yeah, it's a it would be what it's gonna be, I think.
This is a dead coil. Sorry.
Replace it. Replace the coil, Richard.
Replace the coil.
Replace the coil.
Replace the coil, and you will have no trouble.
Yeah.
As you vape into the air, you will see clearer than before. You will have the perfect flavor, and every time you savor, the perfect flavor comes to you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, see, my coil tastes great. You know why?
Because
I replaced it! Okay.
Any of you vape? Probably not. I don't know.
Probably not. I hope not.
It's a struggle.
It's a problem. We're very, we're... Never mind.
Hey, don't do what we do, kids.
Yeah, right?
Let's take two more questions.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know that there's two more questions here, but two more questions if you've got them, guys.
What's your favorite video games?
It's Chrono Trigger. No.
Hey, my favorite video game song of all time is the Chrono Trigger theme. Question answered.
It is, yes. So DeKalen was casting some doubt earlier on the God of War ending, about it being potentially lackluster. This is a problem that we've been seeing a lot with Far Cry 5. Because
I was just laughing about because I'm coming to you soon. Vape Simulator.
Oh yeah, right. We're sure laughing. Yeah, because we're hilarious. You're welcome, DeKalen. So that's all good. DeKalen was casting some doubt on the God of War ending. Just because a lot of endings have been kind of lackluster recently. We saw this with Far Cry 5, where it's like, Far Cry 5, pretty solid game. What was the ending?
Knowing the God of War team, it's a good ending.
Actually, yeah, every single report, you know, there's not a lot of, all the reviews right now are spoiler free, but none of them mention that the ending loses any steam.
It got a 10 out of 10. It's a spotless showcase.
Right.
Spotless showcase.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm a little more hesitant on like to give the 10 out of 10s their dues on like AAA games, especially when like, you know, major commercial reviewers have them, because I think there's a lot of pressure to give high praise there. But a 10 out of 10 is good. That's a good review. But to be very specific, everybody seems to say that the story holds water throughout, and that it comes full circle very successfully. So
hi Archie, I love seeing you in chat, but your question is, can we talk about Final Fantasy 15's DLC? And I'm afraid that is going to have to wait till next week, because I have so much to say about that it will not fit the remaining time that we have.
Nope, you've got like 30 seconds, and I need you to just gush. Go.
Oh, they should have included everything in the ending. That game felt so empty because they reached out and took all the good content. Where the fuck was the guy Gladios when he went off and did his thing? Oh, you get that in Gladios' story, except whoops, they took it out, so now it doesn't connect where it was supposed to, and it feels all disconnected, and the whole game feels like an empty shell of what it was supposed to, even though you spent 10 fucking years doing it. Fuck you, Square Enix. Fuck you to hell and die. I'm done. All right.
That's what I was hoping for. That's precisely what I was hoping for.
That's it.
And then last one, Hockey Song. If you guys had the opportunity to get rid of a video game company but keep all their games alive, who would it be?
Oh, okay. That's a tough one.
I mean,
well, they've already gotten rid of LucasArts. Let's save those games.
Right. This is the content I needed. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You want some more? Let's get around to something like this. Not a chair turn. Not a chair turn. We're coming for you, Konami. Four-legged flesh phoenix. Yeah, there we go.
It's time to stop.
It's time to stop.
Alright guys, that's going to do it for us today. I'm so glad that you've decided to make the irresponsible decision of watching Video Game Talk tonight.
Yeah,
We're here live every Thursday on Video Game Network. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, like it again when it goes public. This is very important. Leave a comment, please.
We are but a small channel getting started.
Like your comments.
Comments and likes just matter so much.
Alright, that's going to do it for us. I'm Rich Alvarez.
And I'm Garrett Allen. And we are out. We're out. We're leaving to go do something else. Woo. You guys have a real